DIY Duke here. So in the other video on how to attach bullnose metal, we learned how to do that. On this same job, we're going to go ahead and start the taping process. And to begin the taping process, we want to do pre-fill first. And we can see up here, there's some large gaps there. And that always comes from homeowners trying to hang their own drywall. They do the best they can, but they've never been taught how to hang sheetrock. So we're going to have to deal with that problem. And the best way to deal with that is to get some fast set mud. This is 90-minute mud, and it gives you a little more working time before it starts setting up. We're going to mix that with water in like soft ice cream form. And we're going to go along and pre-fill that. Now, if we were to skip that pre-fill step and tape that tape is going to suck into that huge gap up there. And then we'll probably have to tape it again. And we'll probably have to tape it again until we get the angle like it's supposed to be. That's going to take forever for that mud to dry because it's normal mud. It's normal taping or all-purpose mud. Everybody does pre-fill to take out all those problems. For instance, this outlet is cut way too far. Obviously, they missed it. We're going to actually have to attach a little piece of sheetrock and then tape that. That's the kind of things we want to do before we get into the process of running that automatic taper and taping all these joints. So let's mix up some mud and do this pre-fill. So we got a bucket full of clean water and an empty bucket. We got a drill and a paddle in our 90-minute mud. We're going to pour a little bit of water in, probably about an 8. We really don't want to mix up too much at a time because we don't want it to set up before we get through the process of the pre-fill. So a little water goes a long ways when it comes to fast set. So we have a partial sack, which we're going to go ahead and put in. And then we're simply going to mix it up. Which when you run these things, be careful because often people who are new at it, they'll hit the trigger and it'll go everywhere. So it's a variable speed. So you're going to start out kind of slow. Okay, if you got access to these stilts, get in them and use them. Otherwise, you're going to be going up and down on a bucket or a ladder to do this pre-fill. And by the end of the day, you're going to be wasted. You're going to be burned out. This is the only way to use all that ladder always use them. So we got our mud, our pre-fill mixed up, and you can see the consistency. You don't want it too runny because when you put it in these cracks, it'll just run back out again. So you can start, I'm kind of a left to right kind of guy, so we start over here. I bring some mud into the corner, pull it out, slap it up, and go like that. You can also do it like this, bring it to the edge of the knife, put it in, and go for it like that. Pick it back up, do it again, until you get that filled. See, it's a lot of work. If these were professional hangers and they did this, you would back charge them because that creates a lot of work for the taper. And a professional hanger does not, leave that kind of work for somebody, or pretty soon they're not a hanger at all because they don't have a job. Okay, so we've got this pre-filled. It takes quite a bit of mud, but that's a huge gap. And this part, just carry around a piece of tape with you because you can put a little piece of sheetrock in there as well, or you can just put a piece of tape on there. Tape that. It's going to dry and fast set sets up. Hard as nails, And when you're doing the pre-fill, make sure you clean it up real well, because that stuff's gonna set up hard. And then when you string your tape, you're gonna come up against that hard stuff and it's gonna mess you up, because you want a nice clean surface to run your tape to. So just go back and check it out. You get all those residual mud off there. Recheck it, some of those, put some more mud there. And then go ahead and finish that pre-fill process. Again, there's gonna be a lot of it because it's people who don't normally hang sheetrock and they don't. Here's how this could have been avoided, simple. They use what they call stand-ups here. Instead of having a seam here, and this is a good idea too if you have a wall like that, you have all recessed edges to put your tape in. And that's what they allow for. But here's the deal, we make a thing called a kicker. And in this case, where this big gap is, all it needed was a kicker to kick this sheetrock up so it hits the ceiling, gap is gone. Simple solution. Okay guys, you have a piece like that, and there's no back in the back. So there's really nothing for the mud to catch. There's a couple different ways to do that. You can cut a little slice of sheetrock and put in there, but that's hard to do because the sheetrock breaks a lot. Or you can just put some mud there. And I mean, the more mud you put in there, it'll just keep falling down on that crack. So you can do just kind of a pre-tape job, get that all slathered in, and then grab you some joint tape, and get that the length you need. Crease it, put it in there. Run that mud out nice and tight so there's no residual mud. What that's going to do is fill that gap, and that hot mud's going to set up like rock solid. And then when you do your regular taping with all-purpose or taping mud, that's going to be preset for you to have a nice angle there. That's a really good way to do pre-fill without continually pumping that mud in there and it's falling down the wall. The pre-fill process, you might find areas like this. You've got a horizontal piece with the recessed edge that accommodates the mud and tape. And then you have a sheet coming down, which is the butt edge. Well, this is not recessed going up against a factory edge. So you have a big ledge there. Normally it shouldn't be like that. So you may find that you want to pre-fill that, and some cases are worse than others, just so when that gets the tape on there, it comes out a little bit flatter and smooth. Then when you tape that, it's going to be better. It's not going to, you're not going to have to work that ledge out. And sometimes don't worry about it, but if it's bad, go ahead and do a pre-fill on that so when it makes the taping easier. And then by the time you finish the joints, it's going to look like a joint should look like.